GM. GM. Alright, so it is that time again after every 2 months where you can see that we only have 9 hours left in RTA. I can't climb anymore because this was my last push was literally on Wednesday because that was the only time I really had. And now I'm making this video right now, edit it, post it, and then I'm gonna be off to Riftbound. And so here is what I'm gonna be ending on. I'm going to be ending on 62, around the 60-ish mark, top 100. That's all that really matters to me. Okay? And so I wanted to show you guys what I used for this season. Because this season it's pretty tough. It was pretty tough, okay? And so this is the first unit that I was using. And I used them quite rarely, okay? This is Doki. This is how I have it set up. A bit of effect accuracy here. You can see I have one F-res here, one flat attack, and then two F-res actually. And the flat attack because this has a quad speed roll on it. And I'm using Strive on her because if I want her to move, I want her to take the turn right after someone hits her or an AoE so that she can cleanse off everything with Accoutn and then cleanse your entire team. So this was how I was using her, and that was the idea to it, okay? Rarely did I use her because she's quite squishy, but usually when I pair her, she will be on 3 along with Ray Mary because of how squishy she is. If they accidentally kill her, I get to proc Ray Mary and do things, right? That's the idea behind it. Okay, she just needs to cleanse off all the debuffs and hopefully take a turn. Although the two most disgusting debuffs right now that are happening, or the two units that are abusing this disgusting debuff, which is Freeze, is Nahor and Mio, and those two are kind of cucks, so that's why it's quite hard to use her. Okay, this is my Messiah. I already talked about him before, how I use him. Why is he on Bulwark? Is because if I were to pick him on 3 and I see my opponent starts to slow down and starts to tank up and get ready for anti-cleave, I either full send or I play standard and use him as my DPS of choice. And if I use him as my DPS of choice, you can see he is already quite slow. And so I need to find ways to protect him. And the first way would be to put him on Bulwark so he won't get CC. The second way is to just keep him alive, right? Either through revive or through healing, whatever. As long as he takes a turn, he will take another turn. TLDR. Okay? And so having this here is just a layer for me to not worry about. Okay, that's basically it. I could switch him to like a fold on DPS with Fury as well, and then go from there. But right now I still use him as a DPS somewhat when I need to. Okay, 455 on him and 515 on Doki. Okay, this is my Hein, and this is how I run him. 25k HP, about 2k defense, 323 speed, 112 effect accuracy with 71% crit rate because of last words giving him more crit rate and crit damage. And I run him on Dark Moon, so I will have enough effect accuracy to land the first hit that I do with the Dark Moon. Okay, why Unbreakable? That's because that's the fastest. These are my fast speeds, and I just slammed it on him. And this gives him some bulk, and you can see that I have Shadow Guard on him because if I use Heinrich, I usually don't have Plume, and so I'm putting Shadow Guard on him so that he has reduced damage on final damage taken. Because the problem with having Swift Rush sets and not Bloodbath is that if a Tia counterattacks, if a Holden counterattacks, you're dead. You just die straight away, right? And this can help him survive that little bit more, which means one more damage skill has to be gone onto him if you don't want him to press S2, which can soak damage. That's how I think about it. Okay? Besides that, nothing too fancy. 114, and that's the shell. That's it. Call it a day. Okay? Never use Ciara. I tried using it once against Rob. I was just seeing if this would have worked if, you know, because he drafted the thing, and I was thinking, okay, if I use Ciara and I can steal that what do you call it? The Sanctolins, I will be super fucking tanky. He had 3 reds, and I'm just gonna constantly just press S3, 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 while being super tanky with 3 ops. I thought it was a cool idea. Turns out it didn't work because I didn't skill this up, so I have no fucking steal chance. My steal chance is 10%. I don't know why I was banking on that. And yeah, so that was not going to happen at any point whatsoever. Okay, but this was what this is the idea behind it. I think I saw Xiaoming using this in the auditorium, and I got inspired by it using Amber, because your orbs stay with you, and when you come back, you can continue your S3 barrage. But it's with Bramble, and that's why I tried that thing against Rob with the thing. Bloodbath, because before she gets her orbs, you need the Bloodbath, and then once she gets the orbs, your Bloodbath becomes a dead set. But that doesn't really matter. This effect accuracy with my piece here is literally just so that I can steal buffs. Okay? That's it. 155, nothing too fancy. This is the Amber, not disgusting and horrible as well. Haven't fixed it. Not my priority. Anyway, moving on. Tiamat, I went with the standard Tiamat this time around because I just needed to use her when I'm playing the actual standard Bruiser meta, which is, you know, the Trinities. If you pick one, you take the other two, that kind of strategy. And Tiamat was always picked if my opponent went Holden on 2, right? I'll put her on 3 and Rahu on 2, so that he can't have a Rahu, and then they'll try to take a Mizuki, and then that's when, you know, we play that little tango. And that's how I usually play RTA, okay? And because my account is so standard, and if I'm fighting standard players, usually I win. But if I'm fighting a specialized account and I do not read what they are trying to do on, you know, the first 3 picks, I lose. I auto lose, okay? Because my account is so standard, I am not like a specialized anti-CC or specialized anti-aggro. I'm like real standard, okay? And so because of that, the skill ceiling of playing my account is relatively high as well. And I'll tell you one thing, this Bramble does not proc for me. It never procs. I've been streaming it in my guild. We watched my RTA matches. That was that one day that I pushed for 8 hours because that was the only day I had. Bramble doesn't proc for me. My Rahu is a diva. She will only assist when it doesn't matter anymore. I was already going to win. Then he will try to kill steal. But this is my Rahu. Okay? But let's go back to Tiamat first. This is what I have on her. 46k HP, 220 crit damage, 85% crit. This is the sweet spot for RGBs, typically. 235 speed, a little bit on the fast end. That's because I'm also having Shadow Dash here. I could run this on crit damage to give her an extra 30 crit damage, which puts her to 250. But I prefer the speed. I like the speed more. I need to re-roll this, but that's about it. Okay? Nothing too fancy. 515. Alright? Rahu is 455. I don't want to waste a tofu on this 80% chance of defense break yet. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to assist. I don't know. But this is what I'm running on him. Bloodbath, Colossal Guard, Strife. But that's 2 reasons why I did this. Number 1, this is a pretty fucking insane artisan, as you can see. Number 1. Number 2, I do not have a Bloodbath, Bramble, Colossal Guard artisan at all. Okay? So, does that mean I can't play Rahu? No. It just means that I had to play Rahu a little bit differently. And you can see I'm a little bit on the fast end with Rahu, because I need him to take turns in order to do damage. And because Strife is actually a pretty good, what do you call it? It's a pretty good matrix set for Artisan, because you get to cycle Artisan faster because you move more. I thought I would go with this so that he can take more turns, put up more Artisan shields, and then do more damage. And usually you're just banking on him proccing assist anyway. But mine doesn't assist. Mine only assists when, you know, the game is already over, I'm already about to win. Then he'll wake up and be like, oh wait, it's actually all me. Fucking piece of shit kind of guy. Fucking hell. Anyway, this is my Rahu. Alright, nothing fancy. Here is my Lily. You can see I am super not fast. Okay, I have her on Bloodbath, Amber, with some speed on her. And that's because when I draft Lily, I'm drafting Lily in a Bruiser draft. Right? I'm fighting Bruisers already. 300 speed is already fast enough for a Bruiser matchup. And I don't need her to be super fucking fast while destroying all of my other substats. So I gave her a bit more bulk, give her a bit more HP defense, some attack, some rest, some effect accuracy, wherever I can get some shit on her. Okay? Because when you play a Lily draft, Lily must stay alive. If Lily cannot stay alive, you are basically only having one DPS. Lily is like having a second DPS, basically. That means you get to abuse your main DPS a lot, right? Because every time she moves, that unit is also going to do an attack. And so, if Lily dies very quickly, you're in trouble. And because you're playing a Bruiser matchup, you're going to be going into a longer game. If you have a bit too squishy and your opponent notices that and starts gunning her down, you are in for a bad day. You're in for a bad day, okay? And so I started running her on Bloodbath with a bit more bulk on Amber, because if Lily stays alive, they have to constantly think about when is she going to put up the speed up, when she's going to put up the crit damage up, is she going to cooldown reset me, is she going to twin trick and attack? And do I really want his DPS getting turn meter for no reason? Right? That is the idea behind the Lily. Nothing else, nothing too fancy. I finally made her 551 instead of 511. Finally did that, and it was not bad. It's not bad. I like the fact that now I can get my S2 quicker, but a 555 Lily, from what I've seen, is a completely different beast. It's a completely different unit, because this skill is fucking insane. All right, I have seen Lily comps in RTA where they will pick DPS Lily on 3, DPS again, because now you choose the DPS you want to ban, and then they pick Nahor right at the end here. And you know what that means? Nahor gets to press S3 4 fucking times, bro. 4 times, which is ridiculous, okay? And so, and that's all because of all because of this, all right? And because of that, I am quite tempted to actually 555 Lily, alongside the fact that she's also getting her own skin. Okay, let's not forget that we're getting this skin here, which is super pretty. Super pretty. I think it's better than this one by leaps and bounds. Really, by leaps and bounds. Holy. Okay. Anyway, I digress. There is a chance that I will actually want to make a 555, but 551 works already, and I know a lot of people have 551. Alright? Next. Byein, just need her to be super fast, because I use her in the 2-pump cleave. Nothing too fancy here, just jam whatever leftover fast pieces I have on Codex, because I want to press S2 twice and go from there. Okay, there is an argument for you to run her on Amber, because if they kill off your entire team and your S2 is back and you kill her, she goes into Ice Stage, she comes back, she presses S2, she brings back another DPS, that DPS cleaves the living fuck out of you, you win the game. Okay, there is an argument to do that. Alright, it depends on how you want to play at the end of the day. I choose to just double pump, kill my opponent, call it a day. Alright, and that's the strategy I went with. 315 speeds because she's right behind my Suki, and that's all that really matters. Okay, that's the only time I really ever use her anyway. Prowess, 441. That's all you really need on her, 441. You don't need the 25% push. You don't need the skill cooldowns on this. Okay, I mean you could, and if you actually get all of this, you know, like 555, if you 555 beyond this, she can actually become a Bruiser supportive DPS support per se, because of the attack up, crit damage up, turn meter push, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but is she a priority is the real question here. Knowingly, we have Hoen and we have Santik coming, probably not. And future units in the future, like Perlin, Senyu, Familia. If there is more tofus to spare, I might. And if her stonks really gets to that point, I'm already halfway there anyway. Okay? Linglaw. This is my Linglaw. Alright? 254 speed, 32k HP, 240 effect resistance, and I run her on Reaper Steps. And why is that? It's because I specifically use her against CC, specifically, and although this is not high enough, I just need. Usually they will tune their plume to move first to press S3. This is enough to resist at least one, and if that happens, Reaper Steps will push my Ling forward. Ling is going to put up immunity, and then that team shuts down because you have to ban the other stripper, right? And that's how I play her. Okay, nothing too fancy. The Strife is also there to help with the push along with the Reaper Steps. As long as it's not a pushback, I should be okay. This can also resist enough Mio's S3, which is good and nice. And if they don't do that, they press S2. This is also enough, in my opinion. This is already a fake stat to begin with, so you don't really have to worry too much. You just need to put enough to give yourself a better odds of resisting. Okay, 511. I'm not at 515 yet. This will do enough usually. Okay, but if you can get her to 515, this cooldown reduction here is actually quite important. It's quite important on her. Okay, because it will pair very well with this skill here, because it's 3 turns. That turns 4 turns. You press S3 first, you get the thing up, then you press this, and then you press one of this, and then this will be back. That kind of thing, right? But that is Ling. That is Ling. This is how I'm trying to cheat some speed on her. You can see she's not very fast. She's 354 speed, but that's also because I give a bit more bulk to her and a bit more rest to her, and the speed was just a whatever burger at the end. It's just this, and that's about it, okay? Defensive stance is probably the best thing on her, because you have to press S3, S2 first. That's already 6%, and if you get the maximum defensive stance is 5%, right? That's already 10% reduced damage, which is great. If your healers stay alive, you usually win the game, right? Next, Holden. I don't think I have to talk too much about Holden. Holden is your typical 85% crit rate, 193 crit damage, 205 speed. Paired that with Strife is more than enough. He already counterattacks a shit ton anyway with 3.5k defense, because don't forget his S1, right, is for every 500 defense. So 35 plus 3500 divided by 5, that's 70%, and then you get it increases by 12%. Okay, this is how he's doing a shit ton of damage. He's already a counterattack monster. He was 555 a long time ago. Don't have to talk too much about him. Everyone knows what he does. Okay? Vero. This is my Vero. Almost 50k HP. I just need to re-roll this because it's a low roll, and then I should have my 50k HP. 273 speed. It's not the fastest, but that's also because I have shit speed. Look at that. Okay? I have terrible speed on her. Okay? Once I get this fixed, at least 2 more rolls into here, that will give me another 4-5 speed. That could put me to almost 280. I would like that. Okay, but that's that right now. Okay, this is what I'm running on her. I'm running her on Codex on purpose because there is an argument if you're playing her more bruisery. As you can see, I'm running her more of a bruisery setup anyway. The argument behind her is that if I'm running her on Codex and Magic, it's because of 2 things. Number 1, it helps me play into anti-aggro a little bit better, especially if they're playing a Messiah Cleave, because they would do their thing. My Veronica is not pinched to think about, I might press S2 first because I need to save that S3 for the Messiah Cleave so I can steal the invincibility, that kind of stuff. I'm not that. I can press S3 first, doesn't matter. Take all of their buffs, their speed buff, make their speed tuning a little bit off whack. Take their speed buff, put up my own immunity, put up my soul ward, get ready for the onslaught. They slam into me, Messiah slams. Now I can press again, right? I can press the S3 again. That is how I think about it. And in a Bruiser matchup, I just have to decide is this game going to be an S2 game, or is this game going to be an S3 game? If this game is going to be an S2 game, then I'm starting my sequence with S3. Or if I think I need both, I'm starting my sequence with S1. Okay? And usually that happens when I'm fighting against a Holden, because Holden will always reset Veronica. Always. There is no 2 things about it. So you have to decide, is this an S3 or an S2 game? Usually. If I think that this is going to be an S2 game, I will always start the sequence with S3. Attempt to steal an immunity if there's any at all. Steal it, get immunity, put that up, go from there. Okay? And then I know that because I press S3, the S3 will get 1 turn extra cooldown. I can constantly just spam S2 there. Alright? Because I know it's going to be an S2 game. That's how I think about it, okay? This is the effect accuracy I run on her. I run a bit of effect accuracy on her, and this was all from the substats and the Swift Smite. You can see effect accuracy, effect accuracy, effect accuracy. That's about it, okay? And that's more than enough on her. 455, plenty. You don't need the 2 turns attack down. There is actually no reason for you to have 2 turns attack down on her, to be honest, okay? Lilium. This is the Lilium I'm running right now. Tiger Yin, Bloodbath, Harvest, Fury Edge. Why is that? It's because this setup is a very powerful setup, especially when you're playing a Lily draft. You usually start the draft with, like, you know, let's say one of the 3 main pickers. For example, Plume, Fushium, Ray, right? You start with one of those, and then you usually will go with a Holden or a Rahu or Tiamat. Then you lock Lily on 3, and then if you pick Lilium on 4, usually that is a very, very strong pick, and you need your Lilium to do a shitload of damage if you're playing that kind of Lily draft, right? If you do that kind of draft, the Lilium needs to do heavy amounts of damage. Now my damage is a little bit scuffed, and that's because I have a crit rate, attack, crit damage piece. This should be a crit damage, but I don't have a Fury Edge. I'm still looking for one. But ideally, you want to be about the 300 something here, and your attack will be about 3.3, 3.5-ish with 100% crit rate. Now, 99% is because every time I try to build her, it's either 101 or it's 99. I can't find the perfect 100. And so, every time I get her to 101, I lose like 50 attack or 100 attack, or I lose like 10 speed, or I lose like 20 crit damage. And I just think to myself, is the opportunity cost for me to miss a crit 1% of the time worth me losing all of these stats? One of these stats. The answer was no, and so I just accepted the fact that she's going to be 99% crit and go from there. Okay? This is how you do a lot of damage. You need to have more damage than me. This is not a lot of damage. Of course, 555, P5. And this is the Tiger Yin. You can see I am running Surge on her because the problem with Lilium is that she's very, very squishy. And so she already has, you know, not bad HP. Okay? I might as well just give her a bit more HP since I'm already rocking a attack percent bonus here. So I don't really need this to be overclocking per se. And Blade of Disorder, this should be a 12. Shadow Dash, this is how I'm making her a little bit faster, right? 222 speed, because she already has pretty damn good base speed to begin with, right? But that is the Lilium. Of course, I can make her a bit more damagey, less speed. I could do that. I'll think about it, okay? Because if I throw 30% more crit damage into this will take her to about 299. And then if this becomes a crit damage piece, which is 60%, that will put me to about 350 crit damage. And then this can ideally become about 3.3, 3.4 attack. If I change the overclocking here on Tiger Yin, we are cooking, okay? This will be a very, very high damage Lilium, and that is how you should be playing Lilium nowadays, okay? She's not so much of a anti-CC unit, she's more of a CC team enabler DPS, if you want to really think about it, okay? And so playing her super fast doesn't really mean much. I've seen some 310 speed Liliums just trying to snipe off Messiahs. Kind of retarded, but once I see that once from you, I copped it before, by the way. I'm never gonna fall for it ever again, right? So that's the Lilium. And this is one of my new toys that I showed you guys. Selene. She is super fun. When you see your opponent pick Ray, Mary, Tiamat, slam her. Slam her. People will auto ban her because your entire team is already so passive reliant. Especially when you go, you know, Ling on 3, Selene's on 4. They don't have a proper cleanse anymore for Selene's. They have to pick up a Sylph, and Sylph is already a disadvantage element to Selene's anyway. Doesn't really matter. They can cleanse once, but they're never gonna cleanse twice, 3 times, 4 times. And This is how I like playing her. You can see I give her some effect accuracy. Of course, she's not the best at it right now. 270 speed, I'm close. But again, look at my speed. They're all kind of garbage, right? Just showing you my pieces. They're kind of garbage, okay? I want to run her about 270-ish speed with about 43, 44% HP. This can stay, and that will be it, okay? Jackal Guard, you can see I have her on Surge, this, and Gaze. Very, very nice piece on her. And I like the Jackal Guard build versus the Gigabyte build on Selence, because this is how I am gaining speed for my Selence, number one. Number two, this is how I'm dealing damage as well. Usually, that is most of her damage. It's coming from the Jackal Guard, okay? I like this kind of setup. Very, very nice. Especially when I see my opponent goes with like Stripper into CC, but they only have one strip. I will start picking Selence on purpose because of the shield plus the Bulwark, which is my immunity units, and then go from there. 455. Thinking about 555 to be honest, because it gives you more chance after seeing a few people play, especially like, you know, all those Arisus, those Japanese names. They play 555 Silences, and the amount of times they land Forgetfulness on me is kind of fucking insane, to be honest. So I'm low-key getting sold on the idea, but I'm gonna think about it. All right. Hoen. 3k attack, 358 crit damage, 200 speed, 100 crit rate on immunity, which is a must-have on her. And I'm running a broken set Harvest, okay? Because most of her damage already comes from her passive or her skill. You don't really need any more than that. And so what you should really be worrying about is trying to defense penetrate. And that's why I have Harvest on her, because this can help me 100 to 0 a unit that tried to kill me for no good reason. And that would usually be a Yelly. Or you can trade 1-for-1 with a Lilium. Right? That's how you should think about it. Trading her 1-for-1 with a Lilium is how you have that mindset about it. And so there's nothing too crazy about it. This is done on purpose, okay? And 455, you really don't need the 2 turns wound here. You're almost never going to land this wound anyway, right? So no reason to do that. You can see this is overclocking, unparalleled, and later hollow. Okay, that's the Hoen. I use her quite often, all right? But throughout the end of the season, it started to dwindle down a little bit more. But Hoen is a very, very good pick still. Right? They always underestimate Hoen if you're not a cleaver, and then they get reality checked by her. Okay? Yelly, rarely ever use her. I think I used her like twice, and that was because my opponent did a draft Hoen, and we were racing to begin with, so I just took Messiah Yelly away from my opponent, and they had no more units to pick. And then I just win the game from there, because Yelly, when you try to bring CC to her, it doesn't work. If it's not a hard CC, it doesn't fucking matter, because people forget that her S3 is a self-cleanse. She purifies all debuffs and gives a crit rate. So you can put like 50 debuffs on her, as long as it's not a stun, petrify, frozen, sleep. She's moving, she's cleansing everything, and she's killing you. Okay? Suki is my fastest unit, as you can see. Alright, you can see I just put full speed on her. This is my fastest unit. And I am waiting for the day I get another quad roll speed Bulwark. And then I'm gonna start, working on making this a Bulwark set for her. Because if I can get her on Bulwark, I'm not going to get pushed back by Mios. Number one, that's quite important. That means I'm always going to be taking the next turn, pushing my Messiah, and ruining your day, which is why I like Messiah to have immunity. Yeah. Number two is because it will pair fantastically well with Freya. Right? Because Freya is going to push her forward, and then she's going to get more turn meter, and that's what I want anyway. Okay? 411 is all you really need on her. You really don't need the 80% turn meter push unless, you are doing some shenanigans. Although, it would be nice. This will mean you're almost guaranteed to take the next turn your DPS, and by the time you get here, you are 100% guaranteed to get it. Yeah? But if you're low on tofus and you just want to have a nice little cleave setup, this is great. 411 plenty. Same with my Freya. I recently just gave her 511. Recently, very recently. Okay? Which is why I'm kind of low on tofus if you see. Right? I'm kind of low on tofus. I only have 2. Alright? And that was before I knew we had 2 SSRs coming. I thought having 6 was plenty already. So, rip me. But I purposely got her to 511 is because I'm using her to try and counter cleave. If I see my opponent goes, like plume into Suki, I will on 3 lock Freya to, purposely take the first turn away from them, and then put another fast unit or a pusher, and then protect myself that way. And so this is what I'm running on her, plus 205 speed on Jackal Guard. Now Jackal Guard puts up the speed on her, which makes her zoom even faster because it's also considered a buff, which is affected by her passive. And so it is great. That is also another way for me to deal damage. And usually when I try to fight people when I use Freya, it's always against a CC player who has already picked Lilium, right? And having Jackal Guard constantly target that fucking Tiger Yin Lilium, along with Dark Moons and stuff like that, will usually kill her. It will usually kill her. And that's why I like it. Mia, never use, but I have her just in case. Just in case. Okay? Nothing too fancy. 300 speed, not fast enough. 111, but I have some gear on her with some ideas that I want to use her with. But I got her some defense through Unbreakable, but that's about it. Okay? I think it's not much. Nahor, I used 4 or 5 times, and that was usually as a pick steal. He's still 111, okay, mind you. But I have gear on him, 282 speed, 218 effect accuracy. Of course, when I put all of the skill ups, this will be at 230, this will be at 300. More HP, happy days. But Nahor at 111 already works, especially if you're just using him to press S3. That fucking thing doesn't ever miss anymore. Thank you very much to all of you CC idiots who keep asking for him to get buffed, and now he is arguably the most toxic unit out there. And if you don't have Nahor, I can see why everyone is complaining about him, because I use him as a 111 and he has never failed me. Holy shit, I've used him like 10 games, and 10 out of 10 he just lands S3 and I just win the game from there, because this is 3 debuffs by himself, ladies and gentlemen. 3 debuffs by himself. Defense down, rest down, freeze, and you just need to put 1 more debuff, and then that Accoutn, whatever, is going to be gamble fast. If it does not cleanse the freeze, you win automatically, right? Nahor is fucking crazy. He became my pre-ban right at the end. I figured out, why not just let everyone have Ray Mary, let everyone have Fushu, let everyone have Plume, but don't fucking give them either Lilith or Nahor, because they can be degenerate as fuck with them. And then I started winning games. Okay? This has been one of the main reasons why I lose so much. It's because of this dickhead. Okay? That's why I purposely built him, just to steal. But I'm also planning to see what the balance patch happens before I put any tofus into him, because Santik might just fucking ruin him, right? Byein as well was one of my units that I wanted to build first before Selene, but because of how many passives are out there right now, Selene Stonks went to the moon, I shifted the goalpost, and now Byein is now on the back burner. 111, but I got his gear, I got his shell, and this will be about 260-ish speed with about 5.8k attack. Pretty damn good stat line, I think. That's all you really need from Byein, by the way. Attack and speed. That's all you really need from him. But you must run him on Harvest. If not, he's doing 0 damage. He's doing 0 damage. Okay? So you have to run him on Harvest. Bloodbath, Swift Rate. Swift Rate makes sense. 20% attack, 50% more speed. I like this. Okay? Fushu. We don't have to talk too much about her. Talked about her. She is arguably the best healer in a Bruiser matchup. You don't have to run her super fast. Just run her a little bit you know, run her slower because she's already going to gain turn meter herself. And the second you put Moonlit Veil, you never want her to take a turn ever again, because you want her to just sit there with Moonlit Veil forever while your team just consistently gets healed, pushed, and keep turn cycling. Okay, 61k HP, 184 speed with 70 effect res. I didn't run a lot of effect resistance on her, and that's because if I'm going to be playing her, I'm usually not going to let you take away my Bulwark until I press S3, right? 115 is more than enough, but this is very, very good. Is it worth 4 tofus? Probably not, but if I need to, eventually I will 515 her. That is ideal. Okay, next one is Mio. This is how I run Mio, and I purposely run her a little bit slower on purpose because I've tuned her to be behind my Plume. I've tuned her to be behind my Heinrich. My Heinrich 323 speed, if you remember. She's 2 speed right behind Heinrich. This is on purpose. On purpose, okay? And I run her on Bulwark. This can sometimes hurt you, especially if your opponent picks up Veronica and you can't do anything. But how do I mitigate that? Is by making her survive 1 rotation so all the immunity goes away. And how do I do that? I'm running Dauntless on her, okay? Running Dauntless on her, and I have her on a pretty high HP pool, okay? That's how I'm trying to survive. As long as she gets one turn in that whole setup, pressing S2 will buy you a turn. You're going to get speed up from the Jackal Guard. Then you're going to move again. You're going to press S3, steal turn meter. Press S1, freeze a key unit, which happens quite often because why? I 555 her. Okay, she is my weakest prowess, by the way. Weakest one. So, if you bully my Mio, now you understand why. Okay? 234 effect accuracy is more than enough. More than enough. You don't need to oversell it with like an insight or a gaze. I'd rather put that passive into survivability, because the longer you stay alive, the more you're fucking with RNG, the more chance of you winning, right? That's the name of the game. And you can see 230, 321 speed, and next will be Plume 327 speed. That's how I've tuned it. Nothing too fancy about Plume. I run her on Amber because I like the fact that she's a tempo giver, and this is the whole reason why I have her on Amber to begin with and not Jackal Guard. It's because even when she's dead, I want her to keep pushing my team non-stop. Okay, that's how I'm using Plume. Besides that, nothing much to talk about. Just try to run it as fast as possible. And Kokardi, this is my big boy. Okay, almost 3k attack. I just got to fix up some of his gear, but this is the max I can get right now. 72% crit, 400 crit damage, 408, 410 actually, 200 speed. Okay, he is my main damage dealer. If I see you pick no way for you to answer Kokardi, and I can make Kokardi, you know, move more than 4 turns, you're usually dead. Okay? Although he is quite weak to Selens, he's quite weak to Mios and CCs, this is how I'm running him. Okay? Now that I play when I use the Lily draft because my Nahor is not built, but my Navet is built. Right? And so therefore, I am using Navet as like the back in the day when we had Lily, Casio, that shenanigans where you use Lily, you twin attack, you twin trick with the Casio, sleep something permanently, and then when their S3 comes back, boom, hit them again with the S3, petrify everything or sleep everything back in the day. And that's how I'm running Navet, right? I think the currency, I've already shown you this before. Never use bad speed, although I have him built, right? Never had a chance to use bad speed. I have some tofus into him, never use him, so I don't have to talk too much about him. Ray Mary, don't have to say much. We all know what Ray does. So this is what I have on her. This is the stat line. I haven't changed since the last time I made a video about her. 47k HP, 100 crit, 260 crit damage with 227 speed on Jackal Guard. And this is me preparing for the future when they nerf Amber and it doesn't become her best in slot shell. I think Jackal Guard is her best in slot shell. Okay? If you kill something with the Jackal Guard, she is popping her S2. She is popping her S2 and it's kind of funny. Okay? Next one, the Ting. Haven't changed since the time I made the video about him. Okay, 276 speed. Ideally, I want to try to hit 280. Of course, this effect accuracy is plentiful. It's plentiful. You don't need more, and that's about it. 3.3k defense. I mean, that's also because he's the highest base defense out there at the moment. 555. I've shown you guys this before. Nothing too crazy here. You can see I start off with insight on him, and that's how I'm always landing my stuff. Eventually, as the game progresses, you are just gonna get the Etheria effect anyway, and that's all he really needs. Okay. Aya is a win con in my free-to-play account and in my main account because she is that good. Okay, putting her on Reaper Steps and Strive will push my team constantly, and recently I gave her her 5th tofu on this because I noticed that this 25% actually swings tempo quite significantly. If your opponent did not plan ahead for an Aya to just naturally get her cooldown reset on her S3, which is going to push your entire team, cool down everything, and if they're not prepared for that, you can just, you can pants grab them. Okay? Besides that, 281 speed on Bloodbath Strive, Swift Smite. I gave her a bit more HP and just some resistance. I think there's only one effect resistance piece on her. Yep, 2 HP, 1 effect resistance. You don't need too much effect resistance on her. Just need a little bit because she's always going to purify from her S2. But that's about it. Red Chiaki is counter cleave. 283 speed with Lighthouse is usually enough to cut. And because this gives her like a second life through the healing of Lighthouse, she's always going to survive. She's always going to press S3, and your entire team will become super tanky because of the origami shields or the origami guardians, and that's all she wrote. This is the Rin I pair a lot with Freya when I'm fighting cleave. Okay, 303 speed is all you really need. Some with Harvest, 3k attack, 248 crit damage, 98 crit. Attack boost alongside speed up from her naturally is she's just gonna clap cheeks. And I have this white fang here on purpose because if I don't kill something, and if I know that it's going to be hard for me to kill, or if I want to make sure I kill, I just target it with white fang, and white fang will usually do the job. Okay, Sanya recently just changed my Sanya to this version. She's gonna get a bit more speed now, so I think Bulwark is probably the best play on her because of her new awakening model, where she's going to have the S3 here. When she puts the all-powerful protection, she's gonna full cleanse as well, that one unit. And the unit you're gonna put this on usually is also going to get the effect of her new exclusive passive here that is going to constantly tell me to push that all-powerful healing. Having Bulwark on her means everything now. Okay? I think this is a good build for the future. Right now, you should run speed, get her to 260, 270. The second she presses S1 Jackal Guard hits with the speed up, her turns will come infinitely. Okay? You don't need to run FRS on her. She's already a terrible purifier to begin with. You're playing a Bruiser match with her anyway. Okay? So focus on HP. That's more important. Besides that, that's all the... Oh, there's like 2 more units. There's like 2 more units I use. Number 1, Mizuki. This unit has been my crutch, especially when, they take Tiamat on 3 with like a with a Rahu or a Holden, whatever. I stand Mizuki on 3, and especially if they have full shield, I will make sure that Tiamat transforms as fast as possible so that I can just punch her down with Mizuki, landing the wound and killing her outright. Okay? And usually people don't play Sanya anymore. Once Tiamat goes, you usually win the game. Okay? And that's how I play Mizuki. The last one would be Sylph, and you can see I run my Sylph. I raw dog the Bulwark on Gigabyte on her. And the idea here was that on my free-to-play account, because I don't have the speed, I'm going to use Strive and Accoutn to abuse the speed chase so that she can take first turn, cleanse off, cleanse my team, go from there. On this one, you can see I run her a bit more on the effect accuracy, effect resistance side with some speed, okay-ish speed, but my speed will mostly be tempoed out through Gigabyte, and the immunity on her is on purpose because they will try to Land 50,000 debuffs on her so that the Accoutn will not, cleanse that shit away. And because I already think that that was going to happen, I might as well just put the Bulwark and just deal with the fact that if you don't strip me, I'm always going to full cleanse. Okay? And because I have her on Gigabyte, she's always going to cut on the 3rd turn. So I'm making your life hard. If you want to CC me, you gotta work for it, is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay? Besides that, nothing too fancy. 555. It's an SR. If you can't do that, something's wrong with you. But that's all the unit I use, guys. That's all the unit I use. I don't use Grey, I don't use Viper. Rin rarely, but my top picks are all up here. Anyway. Okay? That is the account review. That is all the units that I use for this season's RTA. And I'm very excited for Season 2, or SS2. It's gonna be fun. Lots of content to do. But thank you for watching. That's the account review. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm off to Riftbound now. Catch you tomorrow.